The inspectors, I mean, they do their best. They go in there and they're gonna, give you a big list of everything going on in the house, but they don't know everything about everything, and they're not
Right.
experts in all areas. So that's when you kind of have to look at it and say, hey, listen, maybe we should call in another expert.
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is The Closing Table, where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. Welcome back, Serious Face. My name is Kevin McIntosh, the host of The Closing Table, and in this very special episode, we have the pleasure of speaking with real estate agent Lauren Mannor. How you doing, Lauren?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. No complaints. Another day. God willing, we're here. We're here to talk about some business, real estate, more importantly, specifically in your market. But I like to just make things a little bit fun before we go into that. So I got a quick game icebreaker for you. It's called Word Association. Got a list of 5 words right here, all associated with real estate, obviously. And I just want you to give me your initial reaction, whether that's a word, a thought, a sentence, definition, story, whatever the case may be. You ready?
Yep, let's do this.
Let's shoot it. First one, comparative market analysis.
CMA.
True.
That's how I would do.
Next one. Oh, go ahead. You want to explain?
No, that's fine.
Okay. You can if you want to, just to let you know. Next one is lease.
CMA, it's a lot more accurate than, the Zillow or the Realtor.com up there. So.
Good note. Next one is lease.
Lease? I'm wasting your money. Sorry, I love investments. I am huge on investments.
Mm-hmm. That's why you're here. Next one, RESPA.
Got to follow those rules.
That's true.
Set the guidelines.
Underwriting.
Play nice. Just be ready. They're going to come back at you for something. Just be ready.
And last one, quit claim deed.
Don't. No. Just don't do it.
Okay. I love that. All right. Well, that gets us a little bit into your mindset when it comes to real estate and a few things. So thank you for starting it off like that, Oh, I'm sorry. Lauren, excuse me. Sorry. Thinking of another episode. So, Lauren, I want you to take this time right now. We're obviously here to talk real estate, but I want you to take 60 seconds or less to explain to us, who is Lauren Mannor outside of real estate?
Okay. Well, I live in Lake Orion with my 2 sons and fiance. My 2 sons keep me very busy. I have a 10-year-old and an almost 5-year-old. 10-year-old is super active in sports. He plays hockey, baseball, lacrosse, football, everything. But travel hockey is the big one. So when I'm not selling real estate, I'm probably at a kids hockey game, and they're intense. Hockey mom life is a lifestyle.
I bet. Very busy schedule. I bet you have right there. A lot on your hands. Thank you for giving us a little bit of insight into who you are. So let's get it going. I want you to start off by explaining for us, me and our audience, what market do you currently serve? And you can start geographically, local areas, notable landmarks, that type of stuff. Paint the picture for us.
I actually have a very wide market that I serve. I serve everything from Oakland, Wayne, Macomb, in Lapeer counties, and further out if it takes if it takes me there. From what I've experienced, a lot of clients find it hard to find a realtor that truly works with integrity and someone they trust. So I often have clients that want to utilize me outside of my local area because I do so much more, and they're able to trust me in ways that they can't other agents. So
okay. And just for me to put clarification out there for our audience, she says Oakland, Wayne, and what was the other county just for?
Macomb and Lapeer.
Macomb County. And this is in the state of Michigan, by the way. Yeah. We're just putting that out there for our audience to be specific. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Lauren, I have this question about inspections because this has been coming up a little bit more often for me. I'm finding out that we basically shouldn't expect inspections to tell us everything that's going on in the home. Now, it was under my assumption that this is when you find out everything that's going on with your home, but they are limited. So, can you tell me, are there any circumstances where you would recommend additional inspections by specialized professionals?
Yes. So, with inspectors are the only part during this whole process between, you know, the inspection, the appraisal, the, title work.
Hmm.
Everyone has to have state certification except for an inspector. So,
Really?
yes. So that's,
Hmm.
I mean, they can get extra certifications,
Right,
like,
right.
but it's not state licensed. Like,
Mm.
they didn't do a background check on them like they did us.
Wow.
um, yes. So it's interesting because you can have 10 inspections done on a house and they will come up completely different. And, and it's not that someone's missing something. What I like to call them is like a honey to-do list, because they're
Okay.
going to go around and check everything. In that sense of when you go to do your first showing or go to look at the house, you're not going to go and turn on and off every light switch, plug in something in every outlet, make sure they're
True.
all currently functioning. I mean, you're
True.
just kind of looking at the layout, see if it would work for you, whatnot. So that's where the inspector comes in. So then they go through and they look at everything, and they usually have had some kind of background in, homes, knowing, what doesn't look okay and what is okay in the
Hmm.
sense of foundations and things like that. That being said, they're not experts. They are not they are not structural engineers. And
Mm.
I can
Good
tell
point.
you that I personally had a property that I was representing the seller on, and I had multiple people come in and say, "Hey, well, we're going to cancel this because the inspector said that they think there's foundation issues." And my
Oh.
client had already checked that out, and it was just cosmetic. And
Mm.
these inspectors had no idea. So finally, I said, "Listen, I will pay for it," because she didn't want that. My client didn't want to pay for it because she's already had it looked at.
Right,
So I
right.
paid the $500 it cost to have the structural engineer, the person
Mm.
that went to college, dedicated his life to one focus,
There you go.
come out. He spent about 3 minutes there and looked at it and goes, "Ha, that's funny. Yeah, those inspectors, they've definitely never, studied engineering because this is fine." And it was completely fine. And, you know, it's just sad because it was an investment property, and all of those clients that walked away from it could have gotten a really good deal,
Hmm.
but they didn't. They had to walk away because that inspector, misguided them. And usually you'll see on the report, the inspectors won't say, "Run, there's structural damage." They'll say, "I suggest you contact a professional expert in, you know, a structural engineer, or for mold, I suggest you have someone come test this." But
Mm.
not all mold's scary. I mean, some of it can just be wiped away and it's just mildew. Mildew is mold.
Right, right.
So, I
Uh,
mean, the inspectors, I mean, they do their best. They go in there and they're gonna, give you a big list of everything going on in the house, but they don't know everything about everything, and they're not
correct.
experts in all areas. So that's when you kind of have to look at it and say, "Hey, listen, maybe we should call in another expert." Those do, but then it starts adding up the cost.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
just for that, like I said, 3 minutes of that structural engineer was over $500. So, and if you're
Did
having to
you
bring in a
wait a
mold
minute? Did you
expert,
say he was there for 3 minutes?
yeah, it was nuts. I mean, because as soon as he saw it, he's like, "Let me just take a couple shots and then I'll put it in the report for you that states what this is, which is not foundation issues, and we can move forward."
I'm in the wrong profession. This man made
Yeah.
$500 in 3 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, he had to
I'm
drive
done.
it there. But I
Wow.
mean, as soon as he saw it, he knew exactly what was going on. So it's just
See,
something to be aware of.
let me tell you, Lauren, that puts me in a very uncomfortable position because you said it multiple times. You basically said a general inspector, for the most part, if they're not specialized, they aren't experts. I would expect them to be an expert. Probably like the average consumer would expect them to be expert. This is why I have you out here looking at these things, and for you to basically say, yeah, they'll make mistakes. Yeah, they'll miss some things. So you might have to call someone extra in there, which is extra money, extra time. It's a little bit, I don't want to say discouraging, but it makes you a little bit more nervous about the entire process. Because the reason I brought that up, and I want you to respond, is because I've heard of certain instances. My friend's going through it right now, where he had the inspection pass, but now he's finding out that there is mold in between his walls. And that's something, the inspector wouldn't know because they're not going to tear down your walls. So it's kind of hard to not accept, but it's hard to be like, yo, we did all this. I thought everything was right. And there's still something wrong with this property. So is there some type of responsibility on the inspector's part if they do miss something? Or do you
So
have
with that example you gave, all they can do is what they can do without digging. Like they can't remove the wall to check for mold. But what they
correct?
can do, and what they probably did mark off, if he pulled out his inspection report, they probably said, hey, there's ventilation issues. So I don't know the situation, but I'm, you know, with it being a the wall having mold behind it, if it was in directly next to a bathroom, or it was
Right.
in like the bathroom area,
It
and
actually was.
yep,
Interesting enough,
okay,
yeah.
now did they have proper ventilation? So what the inspector might have said is, hey, this bathroom's not ventilating correctly. You're going to need to put a fan on. That's the issue. The inspector,
Mm.
because at that point, you would know as an inspector, hey, since it's not ventilating correctly, there's a good chance there's mold around here. I've had that caught several times in inspections. People, what they do is, just do it themselves jobs. They go to put a ceiling fan in their bathroom or go to put a fan in their bathroom. They just
Mhm.
take it out and put it in and think it's fine. Well, you have to have that venting out somewhere else. Because if
Correct.
you have it venting upstairs, guess where that's gonna.
Yep. In
So
between the floors or something like that,
yeah,
something
so there
weird.
is. I mean, obviously they can't predict everything that's going to happen, but what they do is they'll look at the big picture and say, hey, listen, because this is going on, there's a chance this could be happening. And usually what happens is the buyer's so excited
Mm.
that they're like, oh no, we don't care. Like, okay, it doesn't look okay, we'll put a fan in, whatever. And that's when me as the agent takes the emotion out and says, okay, listen, yes, we're excited about this, but because it doesn't have the fan in there right now, there might be underlying issues. So let's see what else
Correct.
we can look at. I mean, with that particular case, I would recommend just even bringing in a moisture. There's a machine that can just check for moisture, and
Okay.
I wouldn't even. I mean, unless at that point we would see, hey, listen, this draws more red flags. Let's have this brought up with the sellers and see if we can remedy the situation or see if they're willing to have professionals come out and fix it. Or I would say, let's walk or let's see what we need to do. Kind of like
Right.
don't just look at the inspection report and say, okay, it's not a big deal because there are
Right.
things in it. And that's what the inspectors do. They go through and they just point out. So they would have pointed out no fan. So they're not being wrong, but they're just not pulling out walls. So, like I
And
said, the inspectors really are just doing, you know,
yeah.
the checking of things, checking the light switches, checking. But when something doesn't work, that's when they give you, hey, listen, I'm giving you a heads up. This is what's going on. And you choose to either accept it or, look a little deeper.
That's so partially unsettling because it's essentially like well, from what I just got what you said, you'll get a report and it'll say, "Hey, there may be something wrong with the ventilation, but it may not. I don't know. I would recommend looking it up." It's like, yo, is it or is it not? Like, you just give me this vague statement. Like, I feel like I might as well just got somebody else in the first place. So, I mean, I get it. Yeah, they lay it down for you, but the fact that it's not direct and it's not like, "Hey, this is what's wrong."
Well, you
That
have to
I
think,
guess
and
it's a
we
little
can't
muted.
exactly. I mean, you could call, structural engineer, a, mold specialist, a, you know, general contractor. You can call these people in,
But then you're looking
but you
at a
don't need
hefty
most of them. You need to
price.
find out what the individual property needs. As an agent, and since I've been doing this long enough, I can see, hey, this might be an issue. Let's go ahead and bring that in while we're getting the inspection done because we're going to need them anyways.
I feel it. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Different perspective. You bringing in your personal experience and perspective too can help with that. I can see that. And obviously, you got to have good relationships, not only with your inspectors, everybody. So
Everybody.
one relationship that I want to pretty much talk about with the realtor is your relationship with the lender
Yes.
specifically, because that's like the big chunk of the process. They have to get approved. They got to get a program. So can you talk about a time when your relationship with a lender has benefited your client during a transaction? Not
Okay.
just like you just send them to anybody. You know this person can help them.
And it's not just about knowing them, it's about being able to work with them and understanding since we work together, we know how what we can ask for out of each other and how the other one works. So I use the example, I have a couple lenders that I can get them to do appraisal waiver. So instead of just waiving the appraisal, they'll actually run it through the system under my client because my client's already been pre-approved to them, already done the whole underwriting process. And then I'll say, hey, is this one going to get waived? Like by Freddie Mae or Fannie Mac? And he'll
Hmm.
run it through the system and he'll get it as a certification. And I've sent that in, and that's won us offers because other people are saying, hey, listen, like if it comes in lower, we have we have this much money we can come in at. And it's like, well, what if it comes in really low? Like, what if something big happens?
Right.
Because an appraiser is a human, so there is human error there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not just a computer robot. But if Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac are saying, hey, based on this information, I already know that without even walking in that house, it's a solid investment. And we don't need to actually physically go out there. We're just going to waive it all together. And so my clients, when submitting the offer, I'm saying, okay, so I already have my trusted inspector that I have holding available a day for tomorrow. If your clients are good with that, I can get them out there as early as tomorrow, and then the inspection period can be over. The appraisal is already done, and my clients are already underwritten. You might as well consider as good as cash. And the only reason I can do that is because I have those lenders that have already worked their whole process prior to even having to go put the offer in. But
Good point.
yeah, but if it was just, hey, well, then it just gives us more leverage that you can't always get with just a random lender. Because I've had it happen where people are like, well, can we use my friend? And I said, yeah, like give me his number, and then I'll call and ask if they can run the appraisal over. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to do that. Like that's not what I do. And I'm like, okay,
What?
so you're not like this isn't something we've learned and worked out together to make sure that we can do add that of value for our clients.
Right, right.
So,
Mm,
I mean, that's just one example. Other ones is that they'll reach out to the agents and let them know that they're available and that they're going to be easy to work with and things of that nature. And just the ability, like, I know that this isn't my preferred lender partners. They haven't just started mortgages. They know what they're doing.
right,
So
right.
if something does happen, they can just swoop in and fix it. And there's no issues because they've
Yeah,
seen it. They've seen it all.
this that just made me think of something. I want to ask you this random question.
Ooh,
Um,
okay.
you're working with a buyer right now. You're a buyer's agent right now,
Okay.
and we're in this tough time where there's low inventory, and you get to the negotiation table, and you have to choose one contingency to either keep or wipe out, whatever, between the appraisal and the inspection. Which one do you actually keep and do? Which one is more valuable to that entire process, and why?
It completely depends on the different transaction.
Okay, that's
Because
legit.
if my client is in a bid war and they're going, $100,000 over ask or $200,000 over ask and it's not going to appraise and they're just doing an open guarantee, they better have that. They better have a lot of cash to come up with.
Right.
Um, but a lot of times, even with the inspection, like a lot of it is like, hey, we don't care what happens here because they're going to be willing to take it on. Because think about like the worst case scenarios. A lot of times, if done correctly and not getting gouged, there you usually can manage to get most things in a house fixed for under 10, 20,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it is worst case, everything's wrong scenario. But that being said, if you just call up, you know, the name brand window places, hey, we need windows fixed, they're going to quote you, you know, 30 grand. But if you,
Easily.
yes, exactly. But if you you know, use have different resources. Like I said, I work with a lot of investors, so I have like wholesalers that I can work with, cabinets, windows, like all these different, ventures so that I can roofs, everything. Like we can get them done at a better price. So it's
Mm,
like, hey, so worst case scenario, if this stuff is wrong, would you still move forward with the house? And a lot of times the answer is yes. And it's like, well, then let's just do this for informational purposes. Like now we know what could be going wrong, and you'll
mm,
fix it once you own it.
mm. I like how you looked at that. Yeah, it could be a learning lesson at that point too. Okay.
Yeah.
Lauren, you have some certifications, destination real estate certification as a probate real estate specialist. Did I
Yes.
say that correctly?
Yes, you
Good.
did.
Continue education. Always got to appreciate that. So, with that being said, how are you approaching these unique challenges that come with selling a property that's part of an estate settlement? What's that like?
So the reason why I decided to get heavily into probate properties is because I felt so bad for these sellers that wanted to sell, but then they had no place to go, and it's hard to find them another place. And like with the interest rates the way they are now, like they're leaving their 2% mortgage to go into a
Yep.
seven, and
Woo.
actually they're getting better now, but it was just such a hard scenario. Well, with probate, I'm not finding the sellers a place to go, but I'm able to be the hero. What I like to do is I contact the administrators, especially ones that live out of state, and I offer to be assistants to them because they're going through a hard time. So it's not even necessarily like, hey, I want to make a buck off you. Can I sell the property for you? It's like,
Hmm.
hey, have you, sometimes I drive by the properties and I see that they need help with lawn maintenance. And I'm like, hey, do you need help with that? Like, do you want me to recommend someone or I can go do that? Like, what do you need right now? Because you're going through a hard time. And I know a lot of the times they're like selling or, you know, taking care of the estate is the last thing on their mind. They're like, I know there's just so much going on, and I'm sure he has plenty of junk in there, and I don't even know how to get rid of it. And that's where my resources come in handy because I can say, okay, no problem. Let's go ahead and do an estate sale. Like we have this in order. We can, I have contractors that will get paid on the back end so that if there's
Mm,
something that needs to be done in the property to make it better for the sale, I can do that ahead of time and then have that pulled off of the amount before it gets dispersed to the rest of the people on the estate.
right.
The biggest thing that people are confused about is they think you have to wait till the whole estate gets through the probate process. You actually just have to wait till they get the letter of administration. So as soon
Mm,
as they know who is the one that's in charge out of the estate, then that
right.
person can sign off and sell it. So I mean,
Ah,
it definitely
okay.
has its little challenges. You really have to be educated with it in order to do the best service for those types of clients.
I imagine it's just such a complex, complicated situation to be in. I wouldn't imagine going through anything like that. But I mean, the fact that you chose that opportunity to help in such a niche market, it's definitely needed because I mean, there's so many emotions that go along with it too. I couldn't imagine. So, how do you handle the emotional part of that also?
Yep. So I mean, that's a big part of it too, because a lot of this is
Mm-hmm.
people that they grew up in that house,
Yep. Yep.
and so
Yep.
every situation is different. Sometimes people are just like, I just can't. Like, it hurts me to even see this, to be a part of
Mm,
this. Like, I can't. And I'm like, then you don't even have to go there. Or if they're just like super, passionate about it and want to be involved in it, then I do that as well. But sometimes it just hurts, and they don't want to even
mm,
see it. Really, from my experience, people just need time to grieve. And it's really hard when they have all the emotions of, the estate and the funeral and everything they're having to go through.
yep. Yep.
And it's just so much stuff going on. And they just need someone that'll just take everything off their shoulders. And that's kind of what
Mhm.
I like to do is like, let me be here to not only be your friend during this and help you, I'm going to give you the opportunity to mourn and be with your friends and family and focus on that while I'll take everything at the back end and take care of it for you.
Whew, man. All right. Well, look at you being an angel and helping out in any way you
I
can. We
try.
appreciate that. You also hold a certification senior real estate specialist.
Yes.
Look at you helping out everyone. Now, how has your training as a senior real estate specialist informed your approach to working with older clients?
Yeah. So a big step, just like with probate, it's the emotional connection to the property. And so a lot of the times, you have to kind of help them through that. A big portion of seniors that are selling their houses are going into assisted living.
Right, right.
And so, I mean, that's a big step. And they feel like they're losing a lot of their freedoms and things like that.
Mhm.
So, I really like to let them be involved as much as they like to be. I mean, sometimes it's just like they're sharp as can be, but I mean, it's just, I mean, they're passing out and having strokes and having these issues. So they need to be in assisted living,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they're still there. So at that point, I let them get so involved. I explain to them every detail of the transaction and I let them be, super hands on because it kind of gives them that pride in the,
Right. Right, right.
and it obviously it just depends on each one individually. I really feel out what that senior needs. I also know that with seniors, a lot of times they're not as tech savvy. So I do have all my documents available in printed form
Mhm.
and extra big font so they can feel comfortable when they're reviewing
Look
them. And
at
I like them
you.
to be able
Yeah.
to review them by them, like on their own as well.
Right.
They have time, and sometimes that's what they feel comfortable doing. So I'm like, here, let me just, get this done in a way that'll make you feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just let them be part of it and work with whatever they have going on.
Very mindful of you to think of stuff like that to assist them with their process. Like, it's little things like that that I just don't even think about, like making the font bigger and putting it all on print rather than on the computer or something. Like, that's there you go. You know what you're the right person for that job, Lauren. You are in my hometown area of Metro Detroit, place
Yes.
that I love so dearly. But there's a lot of things going on in Metro Detroit. A lot of revitalization going on. But I want you to talk about a story where you actually helped someone who, went and invested in Detroit real estate and how they benefited from some of these revitalization efforts from the city.
So most of my investors actually aren't Detroit investors.
Hmm.
I have a lot of investors in different cities, but they haven't actually done Detroit. Detroit's a little harder. Um,
Hmm.
in the sense of being able, like, the city, getting involved with the city,
Hmm.
like, getting things done. It's just, I mean, because of COVID, everyone kind of got backed up, in at the,
Right.
you know the buildings, and it's just,
Right. Right.
Detroit is just, my investors have not really done much with Detroit, but I can say that they have utilized some programs in other areas, and I
Okay.
can say that I've been so lucky to be part of some amazing stories. I had one client that bought a building in a downtown area of a rural community. And he said,
Okay.
"Oh, by the way, I want to own this whole city." And he
Wait,
goes,
what?
"Let's," yeah, he goes, "Let's do this one day, one building at a time. I'll let you know when I'm ready for the next one." And so then, a little while
Nice.
down the road, he's done so much for that town. He refaces all the building, gets them cleaned up, and these were, what used to be vacant buildings into beautiful um, commercial buildings that are utilized by the city now, like by different, like, businesses, and they rent them
Hmm.
out through him. And then he calls me and says, "Hey, I'm ready for the next one." And then we keep doing it. And he probably is going to own the whole city eventually. And he's just added so much value to that community, that city. I can also say that I've, on a lower level of investment, or a different level, I should say, I had someone say, "Hey, everyone talks about investing. I think if you can give me the right opportunity, I'll do it. I'll pull the trigger and try my first rental property." And
Nice.
it didn't take them long until they had 9 or 10 doors, because they just kept going with it. Because it's like, as soon as it keeps coming, you can refinance that, you can pull the money
Yep.
out. And it's like, that's completely changed their life in general, because at this point they have so much um just money coming while they sleep.
Woo. That
Yeah.
story is inspiring. That if that doesn't inspire you to get up and start making some moves and investing, I don't know what will. I love hearing about people doing the whole, you own, you rent it out, you refinance, and you use that money, that equity, and you take it somewhere else and start all over again. And once you actually get in the process, I think that's probably the hardest thing. Just making that leap of faith to start. Once you do it and you see how the process is, you're like, oh, I can do this. And then you see the equity you
You
can
go through
build and redo it. I mean, I can imagine. So I'm really just speaking to myself right now, thinking out loud, because I need to make that leap of faith real
You
soon. But
do.
we'll get there. We'll
I
get
don't
there
know if
for
you're a
sure.
homeowner, but my dream, like my one of my biggest goals that I haven't got anyone to do yet, that I really want to, because it is my mistake, that I wish I would have done.
Mm.
I wish my first primary was a 4-unit building.
I knew she was gonna say that.
I
Oh,
want that
yep.
so bad. And so what I want more
Yeah.
than anything, like I will work with
Yep.
18-year-old kids. I don't care. If you've had a job at Kroger for the past 2 years and you bring home anything, call me. And
I
you're
feel
willing to,
it.
I mean, as long as you have even, a little credit. Like, I
Right,
mean,
right.
there's programs, even if you have 580, we can work with that. But the thing is, with those investment properties, with the 4 units,
Yep.
same type of mortgages where you're getting that conventional rate, and the other people are literally paying your rent plus some.
Correct.
And after
Correct.
6 months, you can move out and do another one and just put another renter in there, because it's already been established as your primary with that conventional loan, and you can go on to the next. And
Hmm.
I did house hack a little bit. That's where I first got my, love for real estate and seeing what it can do. And I just wish I would
Yep.
have been able to um, do the 4 units, 2 unit, whatever. And just, I mean, they count that as income.
Yeah.
So like, you're like, how could I possibly buy a house? Like, I only, I have money, but like a little money or whatever, but I literally make like 30 grand a year or whatever, 24 grand a year. I'm a
Hmm.
kid. And it's like, wow, they're going to include
The cash
the
flow that you
potential
can get.
rental income as
Yep.
your income.
Yep. Oh,
And
oh. I'm such an
yeah,
advocate for house hacking. I love when people bring that up.
I
That is, yeah,
love
that's my
house
plan.
hacking.
Yep.
I wish I would have bought in a multifamily when I was younger,
Oh
because
man.
it just
Oh
builds and
man.
builds and builds. And then once you get to
Good
that,
job.
further in that, then let's talk about diversifying your portfolio by throwing in a couple Airbnbs, because those are more lucrative, but they're also, you know, there's risk, because what happens when there's a depression? First thing that
Mm.
goes is vacations, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
Airbnbs are, harder in the sense that they're more risky,
Yep.
because what happens during depression with rentals? You get more
Go
people
down
wanting rentals.
oh
So
yeah,
I mean,
true,
yeah,
true. There you go.
yeah. So rentals, I feel, they're safer, and they're, you know consistent. You get someone in there and they just stay. But with
Hmm.
Airbnbs, I mean, you can get hundreds and hundreds of dollars per night. Like,
Ooh.
I mean, they're great. So
Yeah. Yeah, I just stayed in the
love them.
Airbnb in Chicago not too long ago. And I swear, me and my girlfriend, that's all we talked about. How much money you think they're getting? How much you think they're making? I mean, we paid them like 1,000 something dollars for this 1, 2 nights. Like, it's crazy. But
Yup.
house hacking, I am a strong advocate for it. Even though I haven't started it, that's my
Hey,
plan.
you started. Let's get
Lauren,
you
don't make
started.
don't don't make me feel bad, Lauren. I'm
No,
working
it's
on it.
okay.
You
But
you know what?
it's the
We
go.
will
It's You
talk.
just got to go for it.
Correct, correct. We will talk for sure, for sure. But
Yes,
I'm
I
a
will hook
big
you up.
advocate. I found out about it maybe like 4 or 5 years ago at a real estate seminar I went to, and I was like, "Wait, what?" That was literally one of them things when you find out about it, you're like, "Why is everybody not doing this?" But now everybody's
Exactly.
privy to it, and like I said, it takes that leap of faith to actually get into it. So me thinking out loud, we were right there on the same thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that. But yeah, yeah, I'm glad you put that out there in regards. Lauren, I want you to tell us. This is the part in the episode where I want you to inspire us with what inspired you. Right? If there's any book, movie, quote, or if you have a philosophy that you go by that kind of changed your life, motivated your life, inspired your life, and took it in the right direction, share that with us so we can be inspired by what inspired you.
Um, Obviously, you can see my passion for investing. So, Rich Dad Poor Dad is
Oh
an
yeah.
amazing book.
Oh
If you
yeah.
haven't read it, you have to do yourself a favor and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it on Audible and just listen to it, and it will change your life. That is, one of my biggest ones. I'm, I went to UWM's event uh, 2 weeks ago with
Okay.
Tony Robinson,
Tony
and
Robbins?
yeah, Tony Robbins. I hope
Oh.
you edit that part, okay? Because I said it wrong. So I went to UW events with Tony Robbins, and that was life changing. I've just
Nice.
been listening to his stuff nonstop since then. Um, and obviously, that's not necessarily all real estate related. It's more, unleashing the power within and, getting your mental mindset right. And I mean, he's just amazing. So that those are the big ones for me that come to mind right now. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just a big advocate in, just I use Audible all the time because as a realtor, and since I'm willing to go all over, I'm in the car a lot and I always have books going. I mean,
Mm.
I'm just always learning. Always, always, always. There's always more to learn. And I guess one thing is just take everything with a grain of salt. Choose to absorb what makes sense for you and choose to, some stuff won't work for you. But it's the more knowledge, the more potential power you have. I mean,
Mm.
Tony did say, knowledge is potential power. So you get to choose what power you want to bring. Because once you
Mm.
have that power, once you have that knowledge, you can turn it into power.
Right. Oh, I like that. 'Cause it's potential power because I
Yeah,
mean it depends on what you do with what you have with that. I love that perspective. I love that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and also um you mentioned something I want to speak in regards to that. I forgot.
The
Forgive me.
UWM event,
No, I forgot what it
Rich
was in
Dad
that
Poor Dad.
regard.
No,
But yeah, speaking on Rich Dad Poor Dad though, still a great book. Great book. I've read it myself. Oh, this is what I was gonna ask you. $1,000,000 question. Is it considered reading if you listen to an audiobook?
yeah. I mean, you're taking in the knowledge.
I
I
love that.
definitely consider it reading. I, I, I'm a big fan of Audible books,
Yeah,
and
me too. Yeah, me too. That's what I
it's
use.
amazing. And yeah, I feel like it's changed my life. Like I was never a reader when I was younger.
Mm,
And then once they came out with Audible, like my potential power, my knowledge
I know,
has
right?
just gone up by the 10 times.
Nice,
Because I can just
nice.
listen and absorb.
Hmm. While you're multitasking and doing other things, with that point being said. Well, thank you, Lauren. We appreciate you for pulling up a chair and being a guest here at the closing table. At this point, if you have any last words and or want to tell the people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. Everyone can reach out to me. You just it's listing and looking with Lauren at gmail.com, or you can reach me at 248-342-1174. So, yes, I look
Beautiful.
forward. I would love to help anyone with their buying and selling and investing. Love to help with all of it.
Well said. Lauren's right there. So if you need her, we will have her links in our description as well. So thank you again, Lauren, for being here. And if you got to this point in the video for our YouTube audience, yes, you make sure you hit that like button right now. And also share and subscribe to our channel. We would appreciate that. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. That means give us a like, a 5-star rating, and also subscribe for our latest content. Lauren, I'll always leave our audience with a question before we leave. So, audience, this is for you. Have you or anyone that you know ever bought or sold a home through a non-traditional method? We're talking about like an auction, online marketplace. I want to know about your experience. Drop your comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.